Matt Orton, Chief Market Strategist at Raymond James Investments, is with us. Matt, great to have you in. Thank you for joining in. So, yeah, we live in hope, right? Actually, let me just start right there, and we'll come down to individual stocks. We always discuss individual names with you. But whenever this deal gets signed, do you think it's going to be a major pivot moment for the Indian market? Will it, bring in a rush of dollars? Or do you think that the market's kind of moved on and it continues to focus more on earnings?
Hey, good morning, Serbian. First, I'll just say my condolences and thoughts are with everyone impacted by the tragedy in Delhi. And to answer your question, I don't know if we get a rush of buying towards India, but I can say that it fits with this narrative of getting more and more constructive news with respect to the narrative around India. We've seen growth hold up despite all of the tariffs. Getting a tariff deal will certainly, I think, improve investor sentiment. But what's been most important is the fact that earnings season has actually been pretty good. In India, there's been a lot of, I'd say, optimism around the results posted for this quarter, as well as what guidance looks like going forward into the next quarter. And I think that's what's enabling the market to make higher highs, lower highs, and hopefully through this trade deal, maybe we'll see some of the pressure on the rupee stop. And I think that's going to be really, really important to getting a lot of the foreign investors to take action rather than just feeling more optimistic, but continuing to wait.
All right. Hi, Matt. Morning. Good to see you. I want to know how you're rejigging your India portfolio. But first, I wanted to ask you about the mother market, the US market. Last week, after a while, we saw some signs of profit taking out there. Valuation-wise, it's trading above its averages. And it's, the good news is out there, actually, the earnings still look pretty good. What's your view on the mother market? Do you think it's run its course? Now we should be in for a bit of a consolidation phase, or maybe not rule out a pullback as well? Because some of those stocks, they seem to be moving at very, very high and elevated valuations. Your take?
Yeah, I think a lot of good points wrapped up in there, Nigel. And I would say I absolutely do not think the path forward for the U.S. market has come to a close. I'm still quite optimistic about where we're going to go into next year. We just printed another fantastic earnings season, not only around all of the AI names where there were questions around the sustainability of earnings, but we've seen the broader market actually post very, very strong margins. And on top of that, corporate margins and earnings have been very, very strong. So I think the path forward looks very good. I think what we saw last week was more of a wobble. It's not a breakdown with respect to the trade. We've gone from April 8th to where we stand today without more than a 3.6% correction on the S&P 500, which is pretty incredible. So it's helpful, if not even healthy, for the market to have a little bit of consolidation, especially in pockets of froth that have appeared maybe in some of the crypto names, in some of the nuclear associated names, or quantum computing type of names that were arguably very, very extended and perhaps detached from fundamentals. And I think today, the marginal progress we're getting with respect to the government going to reopen again, getting economic data, which should allow the Fed to reaffirm its course going forward, I think all of that will further support the idea that over the longer term, rates are coming down, earnings are strong. Both of that continues to support the overall market.
Matt, since you always take a keen look at stocks here in India, and you've had an interest in financials in the past, we've discussed, for instance, ICICI Bank. You've also had an interest in some of these new consumer internet companies like Swiggy and Eternal. So then let me ask you, what about the IPO market here? I'm not sure if you participated, but there's so many new red-hot issues, including Lenskart. There's Grow, which is a huge stockbroker here. Any thoughts? Anything new?
Yeah, Serbia, I don't participate in the IPO market in India, but what I can say is it's really exciting to see companies going public in India, and it's also exciting to see a good reaction to a lot of the companies that are going public. So there was a ton of enthusiasm earlier this year with respect to Hyundai. That, I think, was a successful IPO. And what's really, I think, helpful, and these IPOs are a good reminder to the rest of the world, that India is an innovation center. A lot of people are staying in India, developing companies in India that cater to, the 70% plus consumer-based economy. And I think that is very, very constructive. So while I'm not participating in IPOs, I think it speaks to the fact that sentiment looks positive, and it fits with this idea that earnings overall have been very, very strong. So I'm definitely encouraged by earnings, especially around some of the auto names that have been long-term winners like M&M, absolutely fantastic results. I'm incredibly excited about the path forward for that company. And you're also seeing decent results in, call it, some more companies associated with the industrial economy. L&T has done very, very well. We're seeing good results from Adani Ports, which is a newer name of mine. So I'm encouraged by where the path forward is. And while some of those new commerce names have not been as strong as I would have liked them to be, I think it gives me time to wait and eventually start to build more of a position as I see some sustainability to the path forward in the price action.
Matt, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us. Good speaking with you here on CNBC TV 18.